So fast.
So fast. No, and I was telling you, like, Denzel Washington, like, has, like, one character that he plays just with varying levels of like, moral rectitude, I'd say. Like, just think about any time he's been in a movie, he's kind of the same guy, just, like, either he's going to shoot you or, like, lift you up, you know?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Transmit Podcast.
Where this was not what we were discussing prior to hitting record.
This is exactly what we were discussing. Don't let her lie to you out there in podcast land. I'm Spike.
I'm Victor.
I'm Samantha.
And we're continuing Black History Month with Malcolm X.
Malcolm X.
Yes.
Yes.
But first, we have a whole bunch of weird stuff, which I dug up not totally like an hour ago, I swear to God.
So this first thing is something that I think a lot of people have been hearing about for a little while.
Yes.
But about the Tic Tac.
When did this?
Still can't explain what he says he saw that day.
Yeah.
November 2004, the Navy fighter pilot was on a training mission west of San Diego when he was ordered to check out something in the water not far away. On a clear day, over a smooth ocean, he saw the object, waves breaking over it, and says he saw something hovering above it.
It's randomly moving north, south, east, west, just random, just stopping, going the other direction, like you could do with a helicopter, but a little bit more abrupt. It looks like a 40-foot-long Tic Tac with no wings.
Fravor says he and his four-man team tracked the object for several minutes until it just disappeared. Tonight, CNN has learned the Pentagon had a secretive program to research UFOs like the one Fravor spotted. The project was called the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, run by an official named Luis Elizondo.
I think this is a national security imperative.
We
have clear
it's got to be something cool. It's got to say
things
like,
that we do not understand how they
something.
work, operating in areas that we can't control.
A defense official tells CNN the program cost at least $22 million over 5 years before it was shut down in 2012. According to the New York Times and Politico, which first reported this story, tens of millions of dollars for the project were pushed through by former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. Those publications say a lot of the money for the Pentagon UFO program went to a company called Bigelow Aerospace, run by a longtime friend of Reid's, Robert Bigelow.
He looks like an evil...
He does. He looks like the guy who like...
he's a fucking villain.
He looks like he's either like an alien in disguise or he's the one who's like embezzling the money for his obviously fake like company.
The logo looks like the way that it sounds. That looks like if someone said, "Hey,
you want to back this up a little
bit?"
Back it up.
Bigelow Space Industry.
Okay, so yeah, this turned from like a whole thing to like now like budget allocation, which Bigelow. It looks like a bread company logo or something, right?
You can't really see it. But
that red and orange kind of like gradient.
But yeah, so this was the thing that we kind of overlooked because like 2020 was so damn weird.
By a longtime friend of Reid's, Robert Bigelow, a big believer in
obviously
UFOs.
McEvil Bigelow.
Public records show Bigelow contributed about $20,000 to Reid and his political action.
Okay, so
here's the proof that he literally is the supervillain.
There you go. So no, this is getting into stuff that I didn't want to talk about. So
committee.
That campaign contributor got research contracts from this program.
I'm curious.
That just is a bad picture. It doesn't look good for anybody. It's hard to imagine that something that came about that way and profited somebody who pushed for the program was a good use of taxpayer money.
A Pentagon spokesman, in fact, told CNN the program was shuttered because there were, quote, other higher priority issues that merited funding.
It's definitely crazy to spend $20.
Okay, well, I guess it's just stopping us.
It knows.
That'll be it.
So yeah, that's the thing. This is the thing we kind of overlooked, that the government just said, oh yeah, there are UFOs, by the way. But in the next one, though, you'll see that might not be a UFO.
I didn't do that one.
Yeah, that's the one that's the second part of this one.
You wanted both?
Yes, that's the part.
I didn't want to do both.
Well, though it's all part of the same thing.
But it's not.
Yes, it is. Because check it out. Now take a look at this object here.
And the object will be coming up shortly.
Any second now.
We might have lost internet.
Okay.
This is why we need to get Elon Musk's Starlink.
Yeah, we need Starlink. We need dark. What's that? Dark Wi-Fi? Is that dark fiber?
Dark fiber.
Dark fiber. It's like it's better fiber optics.
Whoa.
We need the best optics to ever be fibered. Like your movement will be so easy with this fiber.
My movement.
Oh yes, through the internet.
Oh, no.
You need fiber to move.
You mean my surfing?
Well, I mean, however
My
you
web surfing?
Well, yeah, you move through the internet. You surf the internet, and when you surf, you move, right? So your movements will be very easy.
Huh. What's that?
Oh, yeah. Okay, now we're
We're
descending into
We're gonna
madness.
pretend that didn't happen.
Okay. Well, future me, maybe cut this out.
Wait, here we go.
Here we go. So this is for high altitude stuff, and you'll see here roughly tic-tac shape, hovering.
But not 40 feet long.
Okay, but so this is a prototype, and when you're in microgravity, this is just a proof of concept. It's designed to take out ICBMs and stuff, and so you need something a little bigger than that, obviously.
Is that shooting guns?
No, those are thrusters. So like when you're in when you're in microgravity, you don't need constant thrust. You just need to, little bursts of very accurate, propulsion. So this is one of the things that they've said that this is probably more likely what it is this. It can move in weird ways, in ways that, no plane or helicopter would have to since it's all totally autonomous.
Pilots are always going to see things that they just can't identify, and we should probably look into them. But to identify them as UFOs,
almost.
That is not the priority of a national security matter right now.
But pilots like Fravor, who says he saw something.
It's amateur hour over here.
Yeah, look, we're a little tired. Listen, I'm starting a new job at a bakery, and
a bakery.
Yeah.
Do you drink daiquiris at the bakery?
Yeah, I play baccarat at the bakery.
Do you want to? There's like a minute left on this.
Okay, let's finish this up.
See merits in the program.
What if it is real? Because I think it's real because I saw it.
I don't see the thrusters coming out though.
What if
Well,
we do
remember, this
nothing?
is like a fuzzy, military grade thing.
Just a short time ago,
that
Senator
looks like
Reid
it's in thermal
responded.
vision, not in color. So that's a different part of the spectrum. But you did see a little bit of a thing coming out in the middle of it. So that's what I was thinking. That it looks kind of like that. That we have these things, and so who knows what this guy's able to know what's being tested out there.
That thing was kind of cool though.
That was. I love it.
I'm not really. I'm not seeing anything moving.
Well, that's the thing is it doesn't have to move. It's just.
No, you're talking about thrusters and.
Well, remember this is far up in the this is way higher up, so you don't need the same.
Are we
kind
gonna
of
finish
thrust,
the
I
video?
think.
Or?
No.
Okay, let's kill this.
You want to finish it?
Might as well since we got this far.
We're fully into the sunk cost fallacy now.
Saying he's, quote,
I feel like
proud
if I
of
was
this
listening to
program
this,
and its ground.
I feel like
You
if I
wanted
was
to listen
listening,
to it, now you're talking over it.
like if I was watching this, I'd be like, "We'll just finish the fucking video already."
Okay, shush.
Groundbreaking studies speak for themselves, he says. Reid says it's silly and counterproductive to politicize the serious questions raised by the work of the UFO program. The head of that aerospace firm, Robert Bigelow, did not respond to CNN's multiple requests for comment by our deadline.
Of course he didn't.
Brian, there's
also, apparently, there were multiple dead and injured after a train derailed.
Wow.
Why isn't that in our news
That is
cycle?
the origin story
Okay, is
of
it-
Unbreakable.
There you go.
Oh.
Another Denzel Washington movie. Nice cut. Nice. That's
also information that former Senator Reid tried to keep information about this entire program out of public view.
That's right, Wolf. The New York
All right.
Well, how do you justify that? Yeah, we're doing UFO stuff. It's like, have you been watching the Stargate TV show or something? What's going on?
So they should get SpaceX to do it.
Yeah, let's have
I trust Elon over Deuce Bigelow.
Deuce Bigelow, UFO gigolo.
Who refuses to comment. You keep bumping my arm.
Yeah, quit that.
Gosh. Dude who's not a supervillain by any means whatsoever.
The only picture they have is of him looking away. There's no picture of him just hey, how you doing?
Of course not.
Okay, so this one I found to be both weird and fun because you're to the point where you've now married your sex doll. Good for you. But also you feel like you're not getting enough out of this relationship. But I don't know why there's
Because she broke.
she broke.
Did you even read the story?
Okay, look, but he also said that he can marry multiple people. There's precedent for polygamy. So it's not just about the breaking, but it's also about the fact that he wants to marry instead of fixing her, he's going to marry.
No, she's in the shop.
She's in the.
Okay, so let's just read this. Yuri Tulachko from Kazakhstan. Can't even talk. Kazakhstan flew to Moscow in a bid to meet another sex doll after his wife Margot broke, only to be told he couldn't leave the airport because of the pandemic. Go figure.
Right.
So he is a bodybuilder who married a sex doll and now wants several other wives after his first one broke.
Several.
Tragically, just weeks into their happily ever after, Margot broke.
Tragically.
He says he doesn't want her to break down again and has decided he could have several wives because this tradition exists in some Eastern cultures. He's currently considering 2 options. I got acquainted online with another sex doll. I even decided to fly to her, meet her. She lives in Moscow, but they didn't let me out of the airport. Like,
okay, so the thing is,
this is interesting.
you don't have to worry about tradition when you're talking about marrying your sex doll. Especially like here, you can have whatever ceremony you want, and like no one's gonna say like, no, you can't own 5 sex dolls.
Anyway,
It's kind of hot.
I mean, the sex doll is hot.
It's a pretty
he is
attractive sex
keen
doll.
to sexually experiment with a big chicken, but not a live one. So I don't want to
Whoa.
get too into this, but because I'm not going to yuck somebody else's yum, but he did stimulate himself with the, I don't even want to say it.
Corpse.
Yeah.
With the chicken.
A chicken corpse.
Well, that's a
He
carcass.
shared a video of himself stroking and tearing flesh off a dead chicken, by the way,
Right.
to achieve ASMR, tingling sensation that can produce sexual pleasure.
Well, my only thing is not like who he wants to bang or what he wants to bang. My thing is he's adding a lot of steps
Wait, go
into
back
the
to-
process.
Go back to
Why?
him in the pink underwear.
Right. Listen, that's a bold choice. Listen, when you look like that, are you gonna walk up to him and be like, "Hey, nice underwear, stupid"? Well, the thing is, I don't care. Like, yeah, that he wants to bang a sex doll. Like, listen, I remember that thing you got me that one year. So yeah, it's not the material. It's the fact that he's like putting a lot of steps into what should be a very easy process.
He's treating it like he is courting an actual person.
He has some culture.
So my
God.
he's
not a savage.
he's not a Visigoth.
So Margot, who is still being repaired, will remain as an older wife, and he has vowed to still respect her.
Do you think they're gonna call each other sister wives?
But the only issue that I take with this Mirror article is that they made a point of talking about him being in support of LGBT rights, and like I it is important to talk about that, people do support trans rights, but like they're talking about it sort of in conjunction, like it's literally the same sentence. Along with his interest in sexual fetishes, Yuri, who spends a lot of time working out, is also a passionate campaigner for LGBT rights. Like you don't need to have these things in the same sentence, let alone the same article. Like it's like they're trying to conflate LGBT rights with sexual fetishes, and like it's like they're trying to create an analogy that just doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, this whole article is kind of weird, and like
They're trying to build this guy up as like a weird human being, and they're like, yeah, he's so weird. He fucks dead chickens, and he screws sex dolls, and he's an LGBT supporter. Just a weirdo.
It's a weirdly put together. So whenever you're reading a news article of any sort, just remember someone might just be an idiot when they write it. So
Yeah, this is just all over.
it's all over. All I wanted to say was you're adding a lot of steps to this. And look, that is a hot. Was it a real doll? I don't know how many
It
brands.
doesn't
there
look
are.
like a real doll.
I don't know how many brands there are.
She has a good face.
Good face, good rack.
I mean, it looks
shape.
pretty. It looks pretty.
I mean, he's
I've
maintaining.
seen real dolls that have more realistic faces.
Well, and he's maintaining. Obviously, he realizes that she can eat whatever she wants and won't gain a pound. He has to keep on his game if he wants to keep his literal trophy wife.
He looks like from the side, he looks like Cesaro a little bit.
Antonio Cesaro.
He looks like he looks kind of like Cesaro ate Jason Statham along with a lot of protein
You don't
powder.
even know what Cesaro looks like.
Well, I'm getting a lot. Look. I'm getting a lot. Look at the nose. I'm getting a lot of Jason Statham with the baldness and the beard and the muscularness. So I'm getting that. I'm thinking like he ate him, like got his facial features, and then just really hit the gym.
He looks like a wrestler from WWE called Cesaro.
Okay.
At least from this angle.
got
So
the bill for it, too.
this guy's a pretty attractive man, I guess.
Right.
Like you think he can get real women. He must have a terrible personality.
But ladies, he's taken, and about to be taken again.
He must be really like socially awkward or something.
Anyway, let's move on to a story that I mentioned this and you immediately knew exactly what I was talking about.
All right.
So a driver broke the indoor land speed record in an electric Porsche, which is called
The Porsche Taycan
Ooh.
Turbo S. It looks like.
So I saw.
Now, is this a straight up beating, or did they like strap a rocket to the damn thing? That's what I want to know.
There was a TikTok here.
No, this is with I
now
think
it's gone.
No, the TikTok was for something else. Wasn't that?
No, there was a TikTok here.
Okay.
this is with all of the factory settings, right? Of the Turbo S Porsche Taycan, right?
It says
Didn't really appreciate the scale of the record until my first exploratory run.
polished concrete floor in New Orleans. His speed of 102.65 miles per hour was enough to beat the previous record of 86.99 miles per hour, which was set by Finnish driver Mikko Irvonen in 2013.
How do you? So he got up to that on a polished. So how long was that surface? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. So there was a TikTok that was here, and then I turned the internet off and then back on again. So let's just see if when it resets, it brings it back. But
there it is.
Here we go.
Oh yeah,
see, I told you there was a TikTok.
Okay, so this is a really, really big polished. Okay, that's like an airplane hangar or something.
He has to stop right before it hits the wall.
Right.
Oh my! I literally felt like my guts clench.
Oh yeah,
when he started.
My uncle has the Tesla model, the really sporty one, and yeah, he stomped on it on the straightaway on the next street over, and yeah, I felt that in my bladder. It was like, and that's the great thing about the Porsche. You don't need like the great salt flats to hit your speed record. It's like instant torque.
So there's this guy called Unboxing Therapy. He's a pretty big deal on YouTube.
Okay.
We watched a couple of his videos. He likes to review tech. He has a Porsche Taycan. No, is it a Porsche Taycan? Yeah, I think he has the Taycan. And he's going to buy the Tesla Model S Plaid Edition, and he's going to race them. And he's
How is he going to race them? He's one person.
You ever see that video of
or is he just going to do like one after the other?
He's got like a million subscribers. He's one of those YouTubers that's got like
how's that answer the question?
That's enough
employees.
That's enough to
He's got
clone
employees.
himself.
He's got employees. He's going to race them.
Thing
He's not going to be in it. He's going to be watching.
No, you remember that video of Jean-Claude Van Damme and the two semi trucks? He's going to do that with a Plaid and the Porsche.
No.
Yeah, that's what I think he's going to do. I like that's in my head canon now.
No.
Wow, that's
so. Let's move on.
a lot of synchronicity.
We've got an Adam Carolla video.
Boom. Well, I like this because
Let's refresh.
Refresh. So I just like this because I don't know like how
I can't hear it all the way.
It's back.
Are we supposed to listen to it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wait, it's not over yet. And then, bam! Like I don't know like how you panic that much, and it's not a lot of time with this. You know, it's like a security camera from like or like a cell phone from inside the building.
Bam!
Just plowed into, and like you see this guy like what the like.
Like, yeah,
and he has the same reaction again, like, so this guy just cares enough about everyone else's stuff, like, down here.
I can't stop watching. I need to watch it again.
There's a lot of horsepower in that SUV. Look at that.
Oops. So I'm going to get out of here and go forward.
Oh, yeah. So, what is the thought process there where you say, okay, I'm hitting a car, maybe I can get out of this. The only way out of this is through, and you just
I have a story.
What story?
Is it about Jesus? Tell me it's about Jesus.
Okay, so back when I had my Toyota,
Shit.
my old Toyota Corolla,
Uh-huh.
it was like from the early 90s, I think.
Yeah.
This was back in 2000, like, I think it was 2007 or 2008. I was learning how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds about right.
And,
wait, are you telling the parking lot story?
Yeah, I was in a parking lot here in
Oh.
Lemon Grove, and there was you know how some people leave shopping carts
Yep.
in front of like the parking block?
Oh yeah, that's infuriating.
So I parked in front of a shopping cart. I was new to driving still,
Right.
and I went out and I got whatever I needed. And then when I was leaving, so there was the car.
So wait,
The
you already
shopping
had your
cart.
license at this point, and
Yes.
but you were still learning.
So it was the car, the shopping cart, the parking block, and then the rear of the building that I was parked behind.
Right, and because that's the thing is that you
So it
can
was like big stucco building.
yeah, you can have your driver's license, but they don't tell you how to deal with situations like this.
So I was trying to pull out, and then I guess I thought I was going in reverse, but I was going forward.
Oh, yep.
So I went forward and I hit the shopping cart, and I was like, oh shit. And then I tried to put it in reverse, and then I went further in. I hit the shopping cart again, and it smashed against the wall of the building.
Tell me it was one of those really good like. Tell me it had like the concrete wall and it wasn't stucco. Like you didn't like mess up that.
I was like, oh shit, I pushed it. And then it was like stucco. It was like concrete
Ooh,
stucco.
okay, concrete. Okay, that's.
And then,
that's great.
And then I was like, all right, this time I'm really going to reverse.
I'm totes reversing this time. I
Reversed, and
swear to
got
God.
it. I think some people were watching. And they're like, "What?"
You must hate that shopping cart.
People just kind of stop in their place when they're watching.
Yeah, I would just assume like, oh yeah, I'd be like, oh hey, look, he got one of those shopping carts with the messed up wheel. It must have been annoying him the whole time. So you're just ramming it into the. Fuck you, you darn.
So it's like, you know how you put it in reverse and you're going like this?
Yeah.
Then you go forward, you're like, oh. So I had it, you know how like, I was like, all right, here we go. I hit the gas and I go forward.
That's why you have to feather the gas. You don't start like this where they for some reason.
And then I look forward and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't mean I was to go.
to go forward. Well, it's like,
Then I did it again. All right, I got it this time.
yeah, but the thing
I, go,
is,
I smash it against the wall. If there was someone there, like they would have died.
yeah. Oh,
Wait.
It was loud too. It was like you can hear like
well, yeah, you're
banged against the
Well,
the
yeah,
shopping carts flew against the
Oh,
wall
yeah,
there.
a lot of resonance there. Let me tell you.
Before I left the hotel, this had probably happened, I don't know, a couple months before. So it's probably happened in like October. I don't know. It's like September, October, November. I don't even remember when. But like we literally had this hole in the wall in the parking garage. Maybe it was August. I don't know. It was before we all started parking down below in the structure. But there was this massive hole in the wall, literally like a bumper-sized hole in the wall that just stayed there for like months. And I didn't know where it came from, but it was like right across from the elevator in the parking garage. And they told us that like an older guest had they either thought that they put it in drive or they thought they put it in reverse, and their vehicle went the wrong direction and into the wall. And like, these are thick, solid concrete walls. And I mean, it was probably 3, 4, 5 inches
Ooh.
thick. And there was just this massive caved in hole. They must have hit the gas so hard that it launched their car into the freaking parking that was there for months. Like we
Wow.
couldn't, it's the pandemic. We couldn't get it fixed immediately.
Oh yeah, that's so much stuff must have been put on hold.
So that's what that just reminded me of. Just massive bumper sized hole with like caved in pieces of concrete and like rock. And there's like, I don't know, rebar in there. Not as funny as your story, but that's what that reminded me of.
Some people get into like some sort of weird thing where they're like, okay, I'm going to do a fishtail out of the parking lot in reverse, but then they forget to put it in reverse. They must have thought like, okay, I'm going to do I just washed the transporter and I have a front wheel drive car. I can do this.
I would like to see this recreated And like the person just crashed into every single car in the parking lot.
Just
Go
keep
forward.
Because not only because he hit that silver car and probably pushed it into 2 other cars, and then probably pushed that, what was that, a BMW, into like the red car there. Let's look at that. Like, boom, into another car, I'm betting.
It just keeps going, dude.
And it's like, instead of just stopping, this is where most people stop. Nope. Boom.
Keep going.
Into another car.
It's the reaction time is like slow. Like,
right.
If you had backed into it, you'd immediately put the brake on.
Wait.
Brake.
Hit. Okay.
Brake.
What do I do? What do I do? Okay, get out of here. Avoid it. I'm uninsured. Okay, go. Ah, fuck. Not again. Okay. Oh man, that's good.
Without turning the steering wheel.
I forgot.
Like,
no, they turned the steering wheel back towards that parking spot they backed out of. Okay.
Let's go. Okay, what's
So the whole point is to talk about Malcolm X, a 3-hour-long movie that we watched over the course of 2 nights.
Let me tell you this. It feels like a 2-hour movie, but not in a bad way.
Yeah. I mean, we were like, yeah, let's just watch like, I don't know, half of it tonight. We'll watch like an hour and a half. We ended up watching like a full 2 hours.
We did, yeah.
Because we just couldn't stop watching it. But
let's do the trailer, then we'll talk about
that.
that.
The trailer.
Wait, is this the actual
trailer?
trailer?
Do you know where you came from?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Malcolm Little.
No. That's the name of the slave masters who own your family. You don't even know who you are. Who are you?
Say Roseland. Roseland.
Oh, yeah.
He was a pusher, a hustler, a thief.
You ready to tackle the streets?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Delroy Lindo.
Oh yeah, he's great.
This dude was real.
He was loved, respected, convicted.
State your number, Little. I forgot it.
In a dream that's divine.
He was a prisoner who set himself free.
A Muslim must be strikingly upright. I will not touch the white man's drugs, his liquor, his women, so that those in the darkness can see the power of the light. I will not lie, cheat, or steal.
I believe you will remain faithful. Yes.
He was a follower who became a leader.
You're not an American. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
He brought honor to disobedience.
I suggest you look outside that window.
You've been laying down and bowing down for 400 years. I think it's time to stand up.
All right, break it up. You got what you wanted.
Nah, I'm not satisfied.
That's too much power for one man to have.
And a voice to a people who longed to be heard.
You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray.
You saying you're anti-white?
No, you're saying I'm anti-white.
I'm sorry, Betty. I haven't been the best husband.
I love you.
Do you advocate violence?
No, sir.
That's a weird music choice for that scene.
Academy Award winner Denzel Washington's most electrifying performance. Director Spike Lee's most powerful film.
Malcolm, can we all live together? I sincerely hope so.
Yeah, so I was gonna say is like
produced by 40 Acres and a Mule Filmworks.
Well, I was gonna say about the movie itself is like if you ever watched the not the Scarlett Johansson version, but the animated version of the first Ghost in the Shell movie, it feels long, but not in a bad way because and like here, stuff is always happening, and it moves along at a good clip. And Spike Lee in this does have a really good sense of how to move the camera to keep it engaging. Because whenever he's like moving through these crowds while they're talking, he's getting a lot of information, getting a lot of and communicating really well, even when, you know, this movie's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Spike Lee is honestly, you know, some people might say that he has, you know, the appropriate amount of recognition for his work, but I think he is not given enough, because his film is mastery.
It's a very, very good film. Yes. So I'd say
Yeah, this is.
I mean, so it feels like even though he stayed true to like an autobiography or just a book, it felt like he put this into a 3-act structure. Well, more than that, like, but it felt like a structured movie you're watching, but also but it stays true to an actual account. So it's very cool to make that so engaging, but also so accurate to the work.
Yeah, so the movie follows the evolution of Malcolm X from, being Malcolm Little to becoming Malcolm X. His progress from being, his father was a preacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being the son of a preacher and growing up, and then, experiencing what happened to his parents from a young age, to becoming what happened, to having what happened to him be the same story, what happens to so many young Black men, particularly of that time. And then, getting the women who got in trouble with he and Shorty pretty much got off scot-free, and yet they got 10 years. And then, figuring out a little bit more about who he was in prison with the help of some mentors, discovering Islam and becoming a more reformed man, someone more committed to, being moral and ethical and doing right by people around him. Becoming the...
Well, here, before we go too far, like, how about we talk about that part of the movie from like the childhood up to the prison, because that's a really good like.
I just wanted to do a little overview of kind of what because it's important, and then we can get into details.
Okay.
Becoming the speaker for the Nation of Islam and Elijah Muhammad, and then becoming discontented with what he discovered to actually be going on behind the scenes, behind his back, to taking his Hajj, his pilgrimage to Mecca, and becoming, reformed again, another step in his evolution. And then, creating his own mosque, and then, his assassination and kind of a little bit of that aftermath. So it's honestly, I mean, the whole thing is riveting.
Oh yes, it's complete. The only reason we broke it up is because it's a 3-hour long movie and we needed to sleep at some point. So like if we'd set up the day for it, if we didn't have work, if I didn't come in later that day, we probably would have been able to watch the whole thing and really not really feel it that much.
If this were made today, it would probably be like a Netflix miniseries.
Oh yeah, they make it, and they did kind of do something like that with One Night in Miami. They have something with Malcolm X meeting some other.
I'm really curious about that movie.
Yeah, so
that's on Amazon.
Oh,
but they could have. I mean, Ava DuVernay did the Central Park 5. That was a mini series. They could do the same treatment of Malcolm X's story. I think that would be a good choice.
I mean, realistically, I don't know if that's really necessary, because we have this movie and it's very good. I don't think you should remake good stuff.
It still holds up, and I think
I'm not saying remake it, but have another telling of it in more bite size, and you can go into more detail.
Yeah. That's true, because they do even though it is very accurate to the material of the book, they do also have to like condense and like do some things to like who's the guy he meets in the movie he meets in prison again?
He meets someone named Baines, who
is an amalgamation of several people.
Yeah, they condensed several people into one person to be like his one mentor, but he had a few people that mentored him within prison and then after prison.
Yeah. So as a child though, because it is Denzel Washington at the same age, but they just kind of like put him in a suit and have him act very childish. And realistically, like he's like, what's he supposed to be when he's wearing the zoot suit, like playing with his friend, like they're playing cops and robbers or something?
I don't know. I just think oh yeah, what are they supposed to be doing? I don't know.
Yeah, they're sitting there in suits. Like, when was the last time you wore any kind of suit and like did like pop 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 pop? Like that's a sign of the time, I guess. But people could see through it because this is him as a very much less mature person.
He was supposed to be like 19 years old,
Okay.
I think, around that time that was being represented.
Okay.
So
I just think of the mask when I see.
Yeah, the score does feel like that in a lot of places, but no, yeah.
And I think of that other movie. What's the one? American Me, the Zoot Suit Riots. You guys seen that?
I haven't seen that
With
one.
Edward James Olmos.
I haven't seen that one.
I love him.
But yeah, so
Well, that's like the Mexican Malcolm X movie.
So, you liked the Russian roulette scene?
Oh yeah, I love that because after he gets to a new town and he meets up with some criminal elements, he starts like he plans a robbery, and like this guy he's working with is trying to like take control of his little gang with his girlfriend and his buddy from childhood and his girlfriend, and he just pulls out this thing where he pulls out the little 38 and starts like pulling the trigger at his head, and you can see the bullet like in the cylinder. So I'm sitting there like, oh, he didn't pocket that. I can see the ring, but then later it shows that he pulls it out. But I think that was just a flub in continuity.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just was that crazy because he's sitting there going up to his buddy. It's like, don't ever mess with somebody. He's like touching him with the gun like this.
It's like, I'll blow off your nose. Want me to blow off your nose?
Like he's calling it like a Daco nose. I'm like, whoa, that shit flew.
He was proving
Oh, yeah,
that he was not afraid.
Right.
But
that's not all, and they show easily that is not a sign of maturity. That just being a mad dog person, that doesn't make you really tough. That just makes you like.
They say that young people have this impression that they are invincible.
Yeah.
Until they get older and they learn better. So that's probably youthful naivete and believing that they are invincible until he and Shorty get caught.
They get caught and robbed.
In the middle of him doing his hair.
And that was almost the robbery itself was almost like a Family Guy sketch. Like you remember like when they say, remember that time we tried to rob rich people, because they're sitting there like the guy's sleeping and they're like trying to like grab stuff off of him. Like,
yeah, that was
pretty funny. No, but yeah, you were saying like they caught him.
That was sketchy.
Yeah.
He was getting his hair relaxed.
Yes.
Which like the first time they show that in the movie, he about like runs out of the barber shop losing his mind because it's burning so badly. And then he's done it so many more times now, it's just no big deal. And but it started to get to the point where like if he doesn't wash that out, he's gonna be scarred for life.
Yeah, I first saw this movie as a child and I thought like, did they shut off his water before they broke? Like, why would they shut off the? But then I realized it's probably just it was a comic scene, or maybe they did shut off the water because he was poor. I'm not sure.
You know what? They might have actually. I thought about that and I was like, wait, where did the water go? And I thought that it was just they didn't pay their bill, but then the cops showed up, and so I think that's
a very weird coincidence.
That timing is too perfect. That was 100% a setup.
Yeah, and I liked it when they got handed down the sentence and it's like 5 years, and like his buddy just collapses. Like I had to explain to him what concur. They both play it as like a sign of like the injustice, but also for comic effect very well.
Yeah, that was Shorty's reaction was pretty perfect.
Yeah,
played by Spike Lee, just ridiculous. But then we went in. We saw his time in prison where he was really standoffish and immovable when it came to the guards and their treatment of him, until he met his mentor, who Baines, who is sort of that compilation of people, who was like, "You're young and dumb, but let me introduce you to something that can help you grow up and become a better person, become a better man." And that's when he introduced him to the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, and I think this his religious experience is like a lot of people's religious experience who may need it. Is like there are certain levels of religion that are good for beginners. Like in Buddhism, you don't study the Kabbalah until later on, or not Buddhism, until in Judaism. And then there are other like in the Buddhist faith, there are like levels of religion you can't study until you've mastered other stuff. And this is where I think he gets just the hard structure of don't do this, be right. And you see it in the trailer, don't lie, cheat. And he really, really needed that structure. And in that way, the Nation of Islam gave him a lot of true things about how to like morally handle yourself, how to, don't drink. And really, he needed that, to not drink, to not do drugs, to, and maybe the don't have sex with white women is a little iffy, but, structure was good for him overall, even though it also kind of like gave him a very angry militant viewpoint.
Yeah, it was a little problematic in kind of the philosophy that was put on top of it, because it's America, it's the 60s, and it's like kind of like black people are taking this religion because they want to have something that's truly their own.
And you
like
see it.
Christianity is like long time been like a white religion.
Yeah, and you
so
see
they're
them.
adapting it to themselves, and like every religion does this.
Yeah.
Every religion will add stuff to it that is not necessarily in the religious writings.
Yeah,
they'll just add like, oh,
see Christianity and the saints.
I think that part of the reason they say, don't sleep with white women, it's protection. It's a layer of protection against what happens to black men historically when they they look at a white woman, when they get entangled with white women. Bad things happen to black men.
And I can see that. But they should, like, in this sort of like well-made film where they communicate so well all the feelings, all the motivations, that would have been something I really would have liked to have seen, like, told to him.
But they did. They didn't say it really outright, but they showed it to you in that scene where they're getting convicted. The white women had basically the most minimal of repercussions. Meanwhile, these black men, their first offenses on record, and they're getting the full maximum sentence possible. And I mean, they were stealing from white people, which is also part of it.
Yeah.
But here they're involved with these white women who are encouraging them and everything. And the white women basically get off scot-free, and the black men go to prison for 10 years.
Prison industrial complex.
Yeah.
I mean, we could honestly, we could go down this like massive list on what happens to black people, what has happened historically to black people.
Yeah,
but we don't have time for that. Talking about that. That's a whole other conversation that probably wouldn't end up on this podcast.
Well, unless we talk about that documentary 13 or whatever.
Well, we'll talk. Well, next time we do we'll do a documentary month next year. We got this year planned out.
That's a whole different thing, though.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
So he gets out of prison,
and he's also got a letter from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. At this point, he just calls him that. He's fully accepted Islam into his life, and he meets Elijah Muhammad.
Right, who is this sort of charismatic leader of the Nation of Islam,
like a religious / political / philosophical leader.
Yeah. And so he sort of handpicks Malcolm to be his voice for the nation. And, he's traveling all around. He's passing along the word of the nation and of Elijah Muhammad to black people in the streets, and then in like community centers. Yeah, he goes from being this like
handing out pamphlets to being on a ladder to being in a mostly empty room to being in that room full to now and then eventually to stadiums.
And he starts making money and doing well for himself too.
He does get money from that, but then we later find out that they're giving him a pittance because of their and this is the thing that we're running up to now is he gets very popular and they at first they show like on film that Elijah Muhammad is giving him like protection, but later on, he starts to also be jealous of the threat he becomes when he's becoming so popular.
He becomes like a media kind of sensation.
Yes.
Yeah.
His sound bites get taken mostly out of context, and he gives the Nation of Islam kind of a bad name, kind of an appearance that they don't want to have.
Well, yeah. Also, like his statements on Kennedy.
Oh, yeah.
That was what really did it, and Kennedy was so loved. Like I think he did let his gravitas go to his head a little bit there.
Kennedy was.
He was a very loved president. Like regardless of any other baggage, the country loved his ass.
Yeah,
especially the white community.
I think you can say I think
he was assassinated for a reason.
I think you can say he was charismatic, pretty charismatic. But there were people. Who knows if it was like half the country, but there was a small group of people that were very anti-Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
So Malcolm starts to realize, because his wife Betty Shabazz is like, are you not paying attention to what's happening around you?
Yeah.
You are getting, we have nothing. We have the clothes on our backs and we have each other, but all of these other people who are high up in the nation are thriving and we are surviving. There's something wrong here. And that's when Malcolm starts to realize that Elijah Muhammad is not exactly who he claims to be.
Yeah.
And he realizes that all of these things that he's been taught, what to look for in a wife and how to treat a woman and how to be a good member of the nation are not virtues that Elijah Muhammad is actually staying true to. The man got at least 3 of his secretaries pregnant, was not taking care of them or the children. And when he was confronted with it, he was like, oh, that's just people putting stories into your head. And Malcolm's like, are you freaking serious?
And
I met them.
And also, then he starts to go like, well, I obviously have to plant my seed in fertile soil. Like, boy, language that you wouldn't even think to say today. Like, I got to put it in your fertile soil, honey. Like, ugh.
Yeah, it was gross and it was awful.
And this is where he becomes disillusioned. Like he learns he may be the true ideologue of this faith, but maybe but the people he respects the most do not share his level of commitment, and I think that really shook him, and it showed in this.
I think Malcolm X, he had loftier, more ambitious goals. He was trying to change the country, whereas I think the Nation of Islam was trying to a decent effort, a good faith effort to try to help the black community survive in kind of this world where black people are kind of basically second class, right? So they're trying to create a community, something to help people and survive. And he's wanting to actually change things. He's wanting.
And on the leadership, they want us. They may have those side goals, but really what you see is enriching themselves at a certain point. Once they get power, becomes a high priority, which in this movement is unacceptable.
And both goals are certainly have a place,
and they're not mutually exclusive goals.
No, but the whole idea behind the Nation of Islam was preservation and survival, and then eventual thriving of the black community in America, particularly. And Malcolm X was speaking to that. And I think it was after he left the nation and after he went on his Hajj that he really started to open himself up to realizing that he had, the opportunity to make change on a larger scale than, only the black community, which again is important. But he wanted to change the minds and the hearts of more
global
of many people.
Well, if you saw in the movie, they kind of showed that mainstream America didn't really know about the Nation of Islam. No one knew who Elijah Muhammad was, but everybody knew who Malcolm X was. He made a big splash.
So
he was controversial.
He was pushing forward to try to get everybody in the country to hear his.
Well, the thing I want to go back is when we're talking about how these
voice.
goals are not mutually exclusive. Like they show Elijah Muhammad, he could not be the upright citizen like Malcolm X committed to being in prison. I must be upright in all things. But you see him then this is a really good part of showing Malcolm X do this. He shows up at the guy who wants to kill him, his old gang buddy. What was his name? His gang name? He had a really cool gang name.
You're talking about Delroy Lindo's
Yeah,
character?
his character. This guy, he obviously has some sort of neurodegenerative disease.
Oh God, that was just
It was
so
heartbreaking, but
sad.
it shows him this man who he had to leave town because
West Indian Archie.
That's a great name. You see, he's fallen on such hard times, and it's he has a sickness, and he shows up and he helps him work his arm, and he's there for somebody who realistically, and before this, if he was still in shape, would have killed him. Just would have shot him on the spot. Or maybe I forget what he said. I just had to scare him. Maybe I had to rough him up. But still, for all Malcolm knew was that he was gonna die if he met him again, and he shows up and helps him out. And it really shows that he at his core, he has from the top to bottom a good moral core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy to see this guy had, what was his name? West Indian Archie.
West Indian Archie.
Yeah.
That was a great name.
He had so much money. He
was a real person too.
He was doing so well for himself with crime, but then at the end of his life, he's in a really messed up, crappy apartment, basically wasting away.
Yeah.
It was
by
pretty.
himself.
It was pretty awful.
And that I think is, I don't know if that really happened, but at least for the movie, that was a really reaching out to your enemy in that way is a very powerful way to show he is at his core a good person.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes to he goes down his Hajj.
Well, before that,
Oh yes.
when he leaves the nation and to start his own sect of Islam, the nation starts screwing with him.
Yes, and he knows because he's trained these people. That's what they make sure that it's clear.
Yeah. So was it before or after he got back from his Hajj that they literally blew up his house?
I think it was before.
Yeah. He's at home with his wife and his children, and they threw a Molotov cocktail through the window of his house into his girl's bedroom.
Yep.
This dude was out for blood, and he knew that they were sort of after him because one of the nation guys, this was sort of before he fully actually left.
Yeah.
This was what truly spurred him to leave, I think, at least in the movie, is that one of his detail was I was supposed to plant a bomb in your car, but I can't do it, man. I respect you too much. And he's go home. Don't think about this. Just go home. Don't follow me. Don't become one of my people. Just go home. And so then he was on high alert after that.
Yeah.
And that's when he blew up his house with his children in bed. But then, after that is when he did go on his Hajj, and he visited the Holy Land.
And this was his next big evolution as a person, from going from
Yeah.
militant to seeing that Islam it's a huge religion, true. He went to Sunni Islam is when he was educated that
He actually had a contact with a Saudi prince, I think, who got him a guide to go around the city and to go to different places. But I wanted to highlight this picture. This is what it's like. And you can sort of see kind of the spiral that forms as people circle it.
You have to do how many circuits again? I forget.
So let me read this. The rites of pilgrimage are performed over 5 to 6 days, and it's a pilgrimage made to the Kaaba, the house of God.
So that black box is the Kaaba?
Yes.
Cool. I always thought it looked like a spaceship, and I still theorize that it might be a spaceship.
It's another form of a TARDIS. There's another time.
We just don't know how it works.
Okay.
One of these days, it's just gonna take off.
It's a hot take, bro.
So one of the things that we saw was the ritual of Tawaf, which involves walking 7 times counterclockwise around the Kaaba. And so that's what you're seeing is this circular motion, except they're going this way.
Yeah, they're it's not
depending on how this picture is flipped.
right, and it's not like they have like lines and like lanes for people to stay in. You just you do your circuits and you do your prayers.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then they showed. I mean, this is literally like a massive day or massive like week of it.
Islamic.
They showed the Arafat, which is on the second day. It's the 9th Dhul Hijjah. For anyone out there, I apologize. I'm probably butchering, but I'm trying. So they go 12 miles east of Mecca, and they stand in vigil, and they, supplicate, repent, and everything, and they listen to a sermon. And so here's an image of people at the Arafat.
And Malcolm X did all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
He did all of it. He did the whole thing.
So upon making this this change in his life, he evolves again and like becomes like, I guess, more like global view of Islam and how to deal with problems and how to bring people it becomes like, he still like says like, listen, we got injustice, out the ass here. But I don't think I think that's a direct quote. We have injustice out the ass. That sounds like him. But he started saying like, listen, I'm not going to call him the Honorable Elijah Muhammad anymore. He's Elijah Muhammad, and he seems like he's not like openly antagonistic at this point, but he's still like a very popular person and a threat, I think.
He was 100% a threat to the nation.
Oh yeah. At least for not from the same violence point that we see at the end of the movie, but from a like taking away their base of followers.
I was going to say that when he was doing that, he saw that pretty much every color, every race, every human, every type of representation was Islamic.
And it's a beautiful, like,
because it was Muslims from all over the world,
yeah.
right, coming together and doing that.
And it's a beautiful, like, just thing that transcends, the color of your skin, and and you all believe in this same. We're all talking to the same God, as far as they're concerned.
So yeah, I can imagine that had huge impact, switching up his beliefs.
And you see that later, as he says, like, and you see it in the trailer, like, my friends are red, yellow, black, white, all of them, and it just shows like, and I can see like for multiple reasons now, like not only his popularity, his charisma, but also like this shift in tone is a way to like could draw like people more moderates and like just a whole lot of people to his mosque, and then what they would see as his movement.
Something that I really want to talk about, because so much of what we're taught in schools is about the Malcolm before he went to Mecca.
The fire and brimstone guy.
Yeah, the one who wanted to create a separate country for Black people away from whites. And maybe it's because he was assassinated so soon after this change happened within him. I mean, but he still had time to like write an autobiography. Yeah. So I don't know, but it's like, I don't know. It's like history books want to pit Malcolm against Martin. They want Malcolm X versus Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And they want to vilify him. I mean, at least now, because back then nobody liked either of them. But, as history has passed down, they want King to be, this angel, this saint, this paragon of nonviolent resistance. Malcolm was also nonviolent in resistance. He just said, if, we will protect ourselves, but we're not going to actively fight unless the fight comes to us.
Yeah, you cannot, like, he did not have a very impeachable view on violence. There's no, like, way you could say, like, no, he advocated for X, Y, and Z.
No, he didn't, but we never really, at least those of us who are not Black never have really gotten to know about the Malcolm that he became. The this this next step in his evolution where he wanted to just change everybody. He wasn't just focused on, as you called it, fire and brimstone. He was such a different person, and we don't hear enough about that.
Yeah.
And that is such a huge disservice to his memory and to the legacy that he should have left behind. Because he honestly, he's a hugely inspirational historical figure. And Dr. King also is fantastic, but we shouldn't be pitting them against each other because their ideas and their virtues can coexist and overlapped an awful lot.
Yeah.
When he was, deep in the Nation of Islam, he had a lot of things to say about Dr. King and other Black leaders of the time. But he changed and said, I am not going to speak against these other people who are trying to further the cause of civil rights, trying to further the cause of Black people in America. That's not who I want to be. That's not helping anything. And we don't hear enough about that, and that's a problem.
And this does lead me to the main weakness I have in the movie, because it's at the very end, and it speaks to your point, is that the director himself, Spike Lee. God damn it, why am I? I'm totally. I need more sleep.
You need to stop cursing.
Bakery hours are a murder. Okay, but Spike Lee, he kind of undercut what you said there about the very end, because at the very end of the movie, they show a quote from him in his more radical time of "by any means necessary," and that does not represent really the philosophy that he ended with, that got him killed, and they do kind of portray him, I think, a bit as a savior in the movie, which is fine because the savior dies, and you see at the very end, you can see it written on the walls in that final scene where it's like, no one's here, what's going on, leave me alone for a minute, and you could tell oh, he's about to die right now.
So I have a thought about that. And I don't, it's not advocating violence. It's not advocating,
True.
It's not advocating violence. But for so long, the Black community has experienced oppression, civil rights abuses, slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, all of these things that have been done to them, and they have resisted and tried to fight back and take back their power. I mean, Tulsa, so I think it's just a reclamation. I mean, and this is my take, and I'm just a white person who isn't actively living the experience of Black people in America, but it's a reclamation of power. And it's, take office, it's speak out, it's speak from the pulpit, speak in the streets, march and advocate and shout, and, by any means, the means could truly be anything. It could be political, it could be social, it can be everything. And I think it's reclamation of power, taking back agency.
I can get that viewpoint, but I like that. That's the mine is that they took a very specific one that can be very antagonistic. There are much better probably quotes for him, because you look at it from a thematic viewpoint, is they show this very specific arc of his character, and then they take a quote from further back in that arc at the very end. So for structurally in the movie wise, for as far as the movie goes, I think that was a bit of a weakness there, because it took us back, it regressed us as far as that character arc.
I can see what you're trying to say. I think that's just nitpicking, because we should still be looking at the whole of the person.
Oh no, I'm looking at the whole. No, I'm not talking about like Malcolm X. I'm talking about the filmmaker Spike Lee when he took that, like, because there are probably quotes if he wants to go for that would be much better and would fit the tone of the ending, and where that character was at. Well, I guess where this person was at.
Spike Lee probably had a specific reason for choosing that. We don't know.
And
for
it's his movie. And that's.
I would again say it's reclamation of power and agency. Probably.
I think why Malcolm X might be seen as antagonistic through a historic lens is he's very individualistic. Like he wasn't like a good Christian, like, you know, Martin Luther King. He's not like kind of like the safe black guy that we want to remember. Like he's kind of aggressive. He will shoot you if you try to fuck with him. Like he's not like he's got weapons and stuff.
Oh yeah.
He's not like the safe kind of.
I do like that picture they recreated of him with the gun with the jungle clipping. That's great.
That's a good picture. He's not this like safe person. Like he's aggressive, and I think like it's kind of maybe Spike Lee. I'm not sure about with that quote, but with this film, he's trying to say like we don't have to be like safe for you. We can be ourselves. We can be individuals. We can be Islamic. We can be Christian, atheist, whatever. We can have these beliefs, but like, you know, our take is that we're gonna when we get like, you know, equality or whatever, whatever that is, whenever that happens, it's gonna be because like we're individual humans, not because we're fitting into this like step-by-step process of first you do this and then you do this and then you get them to like you and then, you know, you're a Christian and then slowly, little by little, they'll start to accept you. Like, I don't think that's totally not maybe that's Martin Luther King, but that's not Malcolm X. That's not at least that's the feeling that I get.
It's not the good little obedient perfect example of a citizen in society.
Yeah, that's why like
Martin Luther King wasn't that either.
Jazz and Motown kind of fell off, and then rap started, you know, coming into play.
All right, I think now we're starting to meander around. How about we
we touched on his death a little bit, but that was again orchestrated by the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, that was a pretty brutal scene.
Yeah, that it was hard.
Yeah,
that was a really hard scene.
And it had
it was in front of his children.
Yeah,
you want to talk about Giancarlo Esposito?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh yeah, he was the
Moff Gideon assassinated Malcolm X.
Fan theory, yeah. He died and was reborn in the Force as Moff Gideon in a galaxy far, far away.
Now I understand
where his place in
where his evilness comes from.
Malcolm X is.
I don't know what's worse than that: killing Malcolm X or trying to kill Baby Yoda.
Well, listen, I think I'm not saying one's bigger than the other. I think they're in the same. Maybe. What's the book say about?
He seems like the type that can get baby handcuffs.
Yeah. What does that book say about the Force and
Moff Gideon
and Moffs?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. There's nothing.
Sorry.
Oh, see, that's what more autobiographies need is more talk about the Force. That's what we need.
So, before we wrap up, I want to say that I've had this book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, on the bookshelf for
all of this afternoon. She got it today. She ordered it.
I've had it on the bookshelf for probably 6 months. I bought it.
You had that for years, haven't you?
No, it's been about 6 months. I was actually talking to my mom about it. She's actually read the book before. But I think I bought it about 6 months ago. And it's been sitting there, and the pandemic has, it made me really exhausted and tired and, not energized in any way. And so I didn't have the wherewithal to pick up an actual book. And then I've started my new job. It takes up a lot of time. So, I get up, I work from 6 o'clock in the morning until sometimes like 5 o'clock at night, depending on my day. And then, you know, we eat, we do a couple of things, and then it's next thing I know, it's like 10 o'clock. So I haven't read this, but
I would have lied and just said, yeah, I totally read it. It's great.
no, I mean, this movie really made me realize that I need to read the actual book, because the movie felt so full, but there's so much more that I know that Spike Lee just wasn't able to pull from this. And it is 466 pages, and so I'm gonna read it.
I got the latest Laurel K. Hamilton book on audiobook, so I'm probably gonna be reading that. I think this one features the Rat King, who's a were-rat, so that's my thing.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, look, I think listen, next week we're doing African American Klansmen. So
that's not a good joke for this.
Yeah.
Black Klansmen.
Okay, we're doing Black Klansmen because
Black Klansmen.
There's like 3 Ks in that.
Anyway, thanks for listening to the Transmit podcast.
Don't you do it. I'm Spike.
I'm Samantha.
I'm Victor.
We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Taking everything from me.